Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Legion Lads. I am your host, JR. Today we got Rob and Jose. What's going on, guys?
You
Hello, hello. We're cozy maxing today.
Yeah,
Got our
man.
blankets. Jose doesn't believe in being cozy though, so
He is his blanket. What are we talking about?
natural installation, buddy.
natural insulation is that what we're going with?
Yeah,
All right, good
that
boys.
building.
This week we were going to talk about a couple things. We want to talk about Worlds, the meta. What we learned from the meta from Worlds. Looks like they dropped some information about the Commandos. And Rob, you got any announcements on the league?
Yeah, so assuming everything happened as it should with posting all that, last Wednesday from the time when you saw this video, I should have posted the league and all of the information for how to play in the league. Just in case I don't quite remember what I said in the last recording about the league, but it is going to be just normal Legion. We're not doing anything fancy with this league. I guess I am going to try to set up like different, what was it? Sorry, conferences within the league. So we have a more casual sort of side and a more competitive sort of side. And the more casual one is meant for like new players and players that just want to just throw dice to not have to play against JR. But everyone should have to play against but everyone will play against everyone within their conference. And if you win the non-JR conference, then your prize is you get to move into the conference where you will play JR.
Oh, they're gonna leave on purpose.
He is 8th in the world, guys. 8th. And that is after the world's change. For the record, I am up to a staggeringly high 255. But he's 8th. So, he's pretty good. And it's a good thing, you get to learn a lot by playing him. But anyway, so that should be all set up. You should have had about a week to look at it now. The plan is to close signups this Friday. And again, I'm double checking the calendar. This will be posted on the 10th in theory. So Friday, the April 12th is going to be the last day to sign up for the league. And we're going to start our first sort of 2-week for the first game on the week of the 19th. So that first sort of set will end on the what would it be, the 21st, Sunday the 21st, and then we'll start the next set. Keep in mind that this league, unlike the last league that Roman ran through Legends, this league is going to have everybody playing against everybody. And if there's not a lot of signups, and again, I haven't seen the signups from the future yet. But if there's a lot of signups, you're going to play everybody in your league once. If there's not a lot of signups, you're going to play everybody in your conference, I should say, twice. So I'll have more information on that. This will be posted in Legion Labs Discord. So hopefully there will be a plug to the Discord and a plug to the league forum for signups for everybody to take a look at. So please sign up. It's going to be fun. There will be a nice little fun event at the end. We're still ironing out details on that, but sign up, have fun, get some cool prizes just for playing. And a chance for Jose, cool prizes and a chance for Jose to paint your stuff. Those are 2 separate boxes, to be clear here.
I can't wait to win that.
That's very cool.
There's banned.
Yeah, guys. Go ahead. Sorry.
One last thing, and this is available for anybody really in California that is willing to come to Fresno, California to play these games. I'm really hoping that some of our Bakersfield friends that I hope watch the stream, or sorry, the podcast, or they can come as well. If you're in Sacramento, San Francisco, if you're willing to come to Fresno to play some games, I will do my best to make sure that if you drive here on a day, that you can have 2 to 3 people to play against on that. Maybe they're not from your conference. Maybe it's an unofficial game, but you come to Fresno, I'm hoping that you can get multiple games in for your drive. And, depending on if it's the week or the weekend, maybe some beers after. So, well, I guess if you have to drive home, maybe not too many, but
Yeah. Yeah, guys. So all our listeners that are local, join on. I mean, should be fun. Hopefully you don't play in the conference if you don't want to play against me. I totally understand that. But
he just always wins, and it's because of his dice. Always share dice, especially when you're playing against JR.
Always.
That's the rule. Always share dice with JR because his dice are cracked. So
I always just switch them out whenever I win new dice. I'm just like, all right, I'll play these dice. But yeah, definitely, guys. The goal is to grow the community and win cool prizes, keep the interest going. Because this is a lot of fun game. I love this game, and yeah, so definitely join.
Yeah.
There'll be more info, I'm sure, in the Discord. And
Yeah, all the info we posted in the Discord. We record these a little bit before they get posted, so I have the signups. It'll be available for you by the time you see this. So just make sure to take a look at that.
yeah,
All right.
awesome, cool beans, cool beans. Excited for that. Looking forward to that. Jose, you better join my conference.
Oh, he will be in your
Yeah,
conference.
I'll
I'm-
have to be there. Rob hates me.
Anybody that's been on this podcast will probably be in the upper level. Just because we don't want to force any of the baby seals to play against JR, the king of the clubbers. So
I mean, I'm pretty nice. I don't feel like it. Anyways. All right,
no,
guys.
you don't. We're just giving you.
I know. All right, boys. Let's go over some Legion news. So AMG has finally released the stats of the clone commandos. So let's get our take on it. First, I'm going to go over the stats of the unit card. We already know what that does, but I'm just going to do a refresher here. It is a support unit with 4 in the squad. It's 75 points. It has 1 health each. Courage 2, rolls red defense dice, does not surge up or down. Speed 2, you have a training, gear, grenade, comms, and armament slot. They have melee are 2 blacks. Their gun on the profile is range 1 to 2, and it's a black and a white, and it's suppressive. Their keywords they have is complete the mission, which is during setup, place a priority mission token on the battlefield outside of deployment zone. While this unit is at range 1 of the priority mission token, this unit gains surge to defend. When this unit attacks an enemy unit that is at range 1 of the priority mission token, this unit's attack pool gains the critical 2 keyword. It is a clone trooper. You have equipped Karaton pattern armor?
Katarn.
Katarn
I call
armor.
Katarn.
Which is interesting because I think that automatically takes up your gear slot, if I'm not mistaken.
The gear,
Yep.
yeah, the gear
gear-
slot is just there for the armor. Yeah.
Then you got infiltrate, recharge 1, target 1, shield 1. I know we talked about it last time. We even went over the armor, which says this will take up your gear slot. When this unit would be assigned more than 1 wound from a non-melee attack, you may expend this card. Assign this unit 1 wound instead. It costs 0. It's expendable, so once you use it, that's it. And the new thing they dropped was their armament, which is a ranged 3 to 4 sniper that rolls 1 red. It taps. At the start of the unit's activation, it may flip this card even if it is exhausted. While 1 or more of these weapons is in an attack pool, that attack pool gains lethal 1, has high velocity, and reconfigs. It's also 0 point, and when you flip it, it is range 1 to 2, 2 blacks, also taps. At the start of the unit's activation, it may flip this card even if it's exhausted, same thing as the other one. Impact 1, reconfig, and scatter. So what do you guys think? What's your hot take there, Jose? What's going on in your head, man?
I am bummed. And here's why. So the box says 2 upgrade cards, which is obviously the reconfigure weapon and the katana armor. What I was hoping for was they were going to be sneaky with it and show us the flip side of one of the upgrade cards and have a Delta Force version of it, but it's not going to be that because it's going to be just these 2 upgrades because there's no way they'll have Delta Squad upgrades because then there'd be 4 upgrades or 3 upgrades. I just think that I'm not thrilled about them. For me, the excitement on this is going to be pending on when they release the Delta Squad card.
So I'm pretty sure Delta Squad is going to be in this box. We just haven't seen him yet. Right? That's
Yeah,
my
but-
understanding.
But the box says 2 unit cards,
Yes.
which would be Delta
Yes.
Squad and Commandos.
Yes.
And it says 2 upgrade cards, which is the
Right.
katana armor and the reconfigure.
So it's not going to be like Inferno Squad, where you have Delmico and Gideon as their own. unit
No,
cards.
I'm assuming it's going to be just a regular Delta, like
Right.
a flavor. My only saving grace for this is I'm hoping that Delta Squad costs more, and has more range because the way I'm looking at this right now, that sniper rifle is useless. Because you don't get you have to have high velocity in both pools to activate it.
You
don't-
can wield this weapon on every single person in that squad. That is 4 red at range 4 with lethal 1. That is very good, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think that, well, before I give my opinion on this, I do think it's worth the clarification that was in the Discord as of this morning of when we recorded this. Maybe they clarify it differently by the time this gets posted, but the guns have the text at the start of this unit's activation. It may flip this card even if it is exhausted. That does
Mhm.
not flip it to active. That just means you're flipping it. So to me, I don't understand why you would flip it if it's exhausted, because it already has reconfigure, so you can configure it when you recover anyways, right? That's what reconfigure means. When you recover, you can flip. So I don't think that was needed, unless they changed their mind and that's not what they meant. But that's just worth mentioning. But I think this is solid. I think especially if you can have 6 tokens on the floor with 3 of these, that give you critical 2, that give you surge defend, that you can still share tokens with, you will be unstoppable with these things. Not unstoppable, but these will be very strong. I am looking forward to seeing some clones being even stronger than they are now, especially at their price point. They're dirt cheap. It's like clones don't need this. They really don't.
They're gonna have the same issue as Death Troopers, in my opinion. If I see these guys on the table, the first thing I'm doing is ramming Echo in my arcs right down their throat and
What
piercing them out.
what if you can't?
What do you mean? What if I can't?
They
So
have shields.
so what I like,
They have one shield.
so
Yeah, but if you're using Echo and Echo gets that 1 crit, right? He's not guaranteed 2 crit. If he gets 2 crits, great. 1 pierce 1. But if he doesn't, that 1 crit is going to the shields every single time.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's just, I don't know. You can like the good thing about, well, when I run 3 arc troopers normally, so I have no problem feeding to the other 2 to try to soften it up. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not thrilled about it. I don't know. We'll see. I would love to be wrong, but I'm not excited about this unit at
so
all.
I'm actually love this unit because of 2 reasons. One is this is a unit that defends, like zones out an area. So what this screams is like Maul with guns, right? Not as good as Maul, but you literally could infiltrate these guys behind a line of sight blocker, right? So now you're zoning your opponent out of a certain area of the map that all you got to do is pop out, do a peekaboo, shoot, right? And then next turn, shoot, and then pop back into cover. The Catan pattern, like the guns and the armor are free. So it's just a free upgrade. I think Rob's right, 4 red dice with Pierce 1 off the lethal aim. But what's interesting is that like it's not like, I guess what I'm trying to say is like I feel like you want to always have the range 1 to 2, be infiltrated somewhere behind cover, get the first shot off, it taps, and then you sit there and then you aim and shoot the black and white, make it suppressive. But yeah, these guys don't scream to me clone ball. They're meant to be away from the army.
Or they can be, right? That's
Yeah.
it. And that's nice. You can also send them with Padme.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
see these guys with Obi-Wan.
Well, no. Like Obi-Wan's great and all, but if you infiltrate Padme with them, that's half a clone ball, right? And then you do like Anakin on the other side with the rest of your army. Now your clone ball is across the map. It's in 2 spots. You can now hold 2 areas as a clone ball. Not as well, but right, not as well as 1 big clone ball holding 1 area, but still, these
I
guys
think
are
you're putting too much weight on them and Padme. Did you just say you at Worlds loved when your players split apart?
I'm not saying you deploy on 2 separate sides of the map. What I'm saying is you don't need to be within range 1 of all your other guys. Like in a normal clone ball, you're trying to be as close to everyone else as you can. You can deploy forward with this, which gives the rest of your clone ball time to move forward, which allows you to, as JR was saying, project power across more of the map.
Yeah.
And that's the
I-
important thing. And the key aspect of that is the armor,
Mhm.
right? Because they have this Katarn armor, it means you have to send at least 2 good shots into them before they die, not just one. Other units that
Is that
infiltrate,
really
like,
hard in this meta though, with the amount of dice these armies are throwing?
I mean, it kind of is. Yeah, it's still 2 shots instead of 1. Like an ISF can get shot off the board in one, right? In 1 shot. These guys at least take 2. So, and there's red surging instead of just red. I don't know.
And they have cover 3 and surge and defend, right? Because you're gonna
Right.
want to be infiltrating these guys on the priority complete the mission token. So if you have three of these squads of these, right? You
Yeah.
infiltrate them on the priority token, essentially behind line of sight blocking. Then you have the Katan armor. Then you have the shield. So cover 3. Like,
I wouldn't call it cover 3. It's like
but
low
it's not.
profile works on every shot, whereas shielded 1 only works on 1 shot.
Well, low profile
So,
doesn't work on every shot. I mean, the moment you
okay.
get crit through, right? This is cover 3 because even if you have to get 2 crits through just to get 1 through.
It's extra defensive capabilities. It's not cover 3. Just
Well, no, I mean it's not cover 3, right? But it's
yeah,
just essentially it's easier to say heavy cover plus shield, right?
right.
In my opinion, it's better than low profile because you have the shielded one, and then you have recharged one. So when you recover to get your sniper rifle back, and you get your shield back, and these
Yeah.
boys have target 1. So I think you're right. Padme is going to be amazing with them because of authoritative, right? She gets
Yeah.
an order, she passes to one of these guys.
Yep. Yeah, they're going to be order hungry. They're going to be they're solid. I don't think, I mean, for the price, they're 75 points. They're cheaper than so much, right? They're cheaper
Yeah.
than even the range troopers, which are very aggressively costed. Like,
They're cheaper than arcs.
yeah, they're cheaper than arcs. If
They
you
don't
look at
hit
it,
as hard as arcs, but they're cheaper than arcs.
right. And they don't need to hit as hard as arcs because they're cheaper than arcs. And that's kind of the important bit is they are dirt cheap, right? Like we're talking 20 points cheaper than arcs. It's that's to me the big thing is a lot of the newer units so far we've seen have been very, very aggressively costed. Bad Batch is super cheap. Support, clone commandos are cheap, range troopers are cheap. They will shake things up because they will be good.
Yeah,
All of them.
I could definitely see the generic clone commander, Padme, 3 of these guys, right? And
Yep.
then even Echo and Arc team capacity orders to these guys to get that free aim off of them.
I mean, there's Rex shenanigans. Like maybe Rex might be decent with them. I don't know.
You literally could make their sniper rifle range 5 off of Rex's I think it's 2-pip, right? The one that you can take an aim.
I think it's to 4 max. I'll
It's to a
double check that.
maximum of 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Never mind,
Take
never
that,
mind.
clankers.
Yeah, never mind.
I
But
haven't used Rex in so long. I'm surprised I remember that.
It's just I just like these guys as a zoning option, right?
yeah,
I mean, granted, there's not every map's gonna have great line of sight blockers. Ideally, they should, but like if there is, like this is an easy like boom, 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 put them all here.
yeah. And here at the end of the day, here's the question. In my opinion, would you rather have 3 clone commandos or Anakin? Right? Would you rather have 3 clone commanders or Yoda? You can have both, mind you, right? But that's the same price point. So that's kind of what you have to. And I think they're even more expensive than that because Anakin's only like 170, right? With full.
I think
upgrades
your
and stuff.
build I think with the commandos and the Bad Batch, I think those are gonna be clone line built. Like I have a hard time seeing you like squeeze this stuff in with
Yeah.
heroes like like expensive heroes. Like I think these guys, I think the commandos, I think Bad Batch are going to be great in Rex Padme list or Cody list, like because they're cheap options that let you make them like the focal point or a focal point.
Well,
I don't know.
what I like hot take, right? I can see people running at least 2 of these, right? Potentially 3. Because what I can see happening is if you're really good at the game, you're looking at the map, you see where you're going to be hunkering down at. That's where you put the priority zones where you get your surge to defend, right?
Right.
And then you use the other 2, assuming you get other 2 priority tokens. You put them on the other side of the map where you think your opponent's going to most likely walk through, and now you got your critical 2. I think that's going to be the play.
And that's the key aspect of it, right? Is these tokens, if you have 6 of them on the board, no matter where the enemy walks, they're going to be in one of these. If they leave their deployment zone, you're gonna have critical 2.
So here's a question I have. When Staps entered the game, the entire support like army side of CIS was just demolished because Staps are the best thing you could run. Does this have the same effect compared to the other like is this going to be the support option you take because it's better than everything else?
Well,
You
yeah,
got the bark, you got the ATRT.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because I think the bark is good because it's a nice adding the surge to hit on a fire support is phenomenal
the bark is
for a
only
set.
good because it's cheap. That's it. If it wasn't cheap, it wouldn't be good. Don't
The
get me
surge to
wrong.
hit doesn't factor into that though.
It factors in because of how cheap it is. If it was at the same price, it wouldn't factor in at all. So like I feel like these guys are gonna take the support slot for the Gar faction because they can share the green tokens. Because you could do some shenanigans with the cohesion where you put one guy way off to closer to your other guys who put another guy cohesion way off. So that way you're getting that much range off of range 1, right? Because you only have to be range 1 of one unit to another one unit to get the sharing token. So you don't even have to double move potentially to these guys to get it. You can just I mean, I think it's what range 2, maybe more. You
For
can
what?
get for the cohesion off of sharing a green token.
Share through Padme it's 2 because exemplar is range 1 to 2.
Well, then,
For
like I said,
token sharing standard, it's range 1.
that's what I'm saying. Doing the cohesion trick, it extends the range significantly more.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like you could put these guys close to your army with also infiltrating them in. So like just them being clone troopers in the support slot is gonna outshine everything. That
Yeah.
was the problem for the ATRT. That's the problem with the bark because they just couldn't share tokens.
Yeah, and you can fit these in a 9-act list with Anakin, right? Like you do Anakin, Padme, 3 commandos, an arc, and then 3 core. That is solid, right?
Is the arc being Echo?
Echo Strike. To be
Okay,
clear.
yeah.
Echo Strike.
Because Echo's the only good thing in that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. Echo Strike. You just do that to have Echo, right? Because Echo is just so strong, right?
Mhm.
That's 9 acts. That's one more act than Republic has been running in the past. And you now and so basically now you have these 3 solid range 2 units that have this range 4 option. You're gonna be fine, right? They can share tokens, as you said. I think they're very strong. And I think they're giving Republic more of what they're good at already, which is even more how you know they're strong, right? Because even if they don't get to shoot, guess what they have? Target 1. They can have 2 aims on the board every turn for whatever else you might use that for.
Even then, if you predictably well where you put the priority token for your enemy, then you have critical 2 on the snipers. And then you can fire support that, right?
Yep.
So it's just a range 4 shot with Pierce 1. It's
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're going to be really good in my opinion.
Oh, they're gonna be great.
Yeah.
Irregardless of how your tables look too, which is also nice, right? You have a very cover heavy table. Well, they're a range 2 unit. They love that.
Yep.
You have a very open table. Well, they can just sit at range 4 and recover shoot every turn, just like Death Troopers. And if they get aims, if they get orders, they get aims. If not, oh well. So, and their biggest issue is just like the rest of the clone army, they're not very mobile. But again, if you have the target, they are kind of mobile and they have infiltrate, so they can get exactly where they need right from the get.
And I also agree with you. Like, if you want to shoot these boys, sure, I'll just pop the armor and then take one wound, and then you got to shoot at them again. It's just there's so many like great advantages to these guys. In my opinion, the great thing about them is the priority mission token alone.
Yeah.
All right. Any last words, Jose?
Are you gonna
What happened?
I'm just gonna ask a question. Are you gonna buy any of these?
I only bought one of each. I bought one Commando and one Bad Batch. And the only reason I bought one Commando is because I have high hopes on Delta Squad.
Do you already pre-ordered them?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did it at the shop. So I'm like I said, I have to see what Delta does. I just think that I've been playing lately with 4-man units with a lot of defensive tech. Once that one wound goes through, you're just a walking liability. So to me, it's like, yeah, it's cool. You can share tokens and stuff, but and they are cheap. I get it, but the thing that's going to make them expensive is if you start putting things you need on them, because I think that you're going to want to put situational awareness on them. You might want to put degrading assault's useless. I don't
I
know,
think
it just
I think
good.
situational awareness would be useless as well because you're not really giving them dodges. But I mean, I guess you could share dodges from the clone trooper keyword.
Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I'm
Yeah, I
saying. Like,
don't.
I think they're a liability. Period. Like, it doesn't matter if the Catan armor takes. So here's my thing: if I shoot 6 dice, and let's just say I shoot a unit with a Z6. So I'm just using that just because it's easy math. It's 10 dice, and let's say you block it with the armor and you take 1 wound. That's okay, cool. That's 2 less dice at range 2, 1 less dice on your sniper rifle. Critical is okay, but it's not always gonna hit. And then now your armor is gone. So even if I got to take a second shot, your shield spent, so you have to recharge it, making you waste an action to bring it back. I just think that there's just pling damage is okay on them, especially if they're going to be like your strong unit. I mean, the surge down is okay with the token, but I mean, I proved to you the last game we played, surging down don't mean shit if you don't surge. So if you don't roll it, it's great to
Well,
have,
what's
when it works.
no one's arguing that a 4-man squad isn't, squishy, right? It's definitely squishy, but like the most important thing is the crackback, right? That's what the Catan armor is there for, is the crackback. Like you're gonna use that armor so that way when you crack back, it's gonna hurt more and make them pay. Like that's what you really want to do with that armor, is just like waiting for the opportunity for them to fire everything onto them, and then you waste the armor, and then you crack back with something else to punish them for doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I
what
don't know.
about
Three black and white dice aren't reliable. And the reason I say is because I shot you in the face with Mando gunshots with aims and stuff, and black and white dice just didn't produce really. So
you
it's
killed a whole Ewok squad?
with a flamethrower.
Was it a flamethrower?
It was a
No, no, no,
flamethrower.
no, no. I'm talking about the one where you're by Bosk. You,
Oh yeah, that wasn't
yeah.
full. They had a win coming in, or 2 wins coming in. But regardless, it's Ewoks and white saves. I'm just saying, like, I hope I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll gladly purchase 2 more. But it just to me they're just a liability factor. Like it's factor. Small model units are just, to me, it just screams liability. No matter
Okay.
how much I have Mandos with shields, defensive tech, outmaneuver, and it didn't matter because
How many
after I
points for
blocked
those
out
Mandos?
the Mandos with the shields
Yeah.
are mm, 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 mm.
Maybe like 100.
Oh no, but they're fully loaded Mandos,
Oh
so
yeah.
they're 128.
Okay.
But that's with the gunslinger to get the extra guy. That's the up close and personal emergency transponder, the super shield, and the rockets. Like
Right.
even
So
then,
what my point is here, I don't like 4-man squads either. I think they're squishy as well. These things are 75 points. For 50 points less than your Mandos, you get a unit that is slightly worse for 50 points less. Slightly, right? That's, to me, it all comes down to points. It always comes down to points, right? Like, yes, there's issues. Yes, they're basically they're not gonna win you a game, right? But they're going to do great in every game they're in, and they're gonna do better than what they cost. And that's why I think they're strong, right?
Yeah.
And who knows, right? Who knows? I don't think they're going to be the most OP thing ever. I just think that what they're doing is they're doing the clone thing just as good as other clones, but for cheaper.
So this unit screams to me one of two things. It screams to me that this obviously isn't a unit that's going to carry the game on its back, but it's going to definitely complement the army, right?
Right.
It's going to catch people off guard. It has the potential to catch people off guard. It's something you do have to worry about. You can't just not worry about these guys. And I think it's going to make those who are great at the game great. And I think this is one of the units where I think is amazing in the sense that people who are inexperienced with the game might feel like they're going to be horrible to play against because they don't play them right. Those who are great at the game are going to see like, oh, okay, I could do this with it. So these, to me, is one of those units where it's just like there's potential to use them in the right way if you use them in the right way. It's not just boom, here they are, shoot, fire, that's it. It's like no, you gotta do more than just that with these guys, in my opinion.
I would feel more comfortable if the meta wasn't throwing a trillion dice at your face with almost every unit on the field. That's the issue.
Right.
Well, we can
Well,
get
well,
into
do we
that.
want to
the
do we
game
want
is
to do we want to
the
move over
game.
to talking about the
Yeah,
meta?
yeah. Let's do
Yeah.
that transition right now. So moving on from the Commandos, I don't know about you guys, but I am
Hate it.
very shocked at the top 8 of Worlds.
I am both very shocked and not shocked in the slightest.
All right, so now we're gonna jump back into Worlds, guys. So like I was saying, shocked by the top 8. Jose, you said 6 of the top 8, I believe.
Yeah, we're CIS.
CIS, and I agree with you, Rob. That is shocking and not shocking at the same time because, Rob, you were very much into EXD was the best list in the game, and I didn't believe
I still think that's right. I still think that even though Luke Kick lost the finals, I still think objectively EXD is the best list in the game, and I can go into why some more now that I have a little bit of proof behind me with which is Worlds. EXD is good against both clones and the stuff that clones beat. Right? You can and it has both extremely good objective play and extremely good token generation and extremely good firepower. It has everything. The one thing it does not have, and the one thing that it is bad against, is when things get rammed in your face. And it can actually do well against that.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Oh, real quick.
Oh,
It can actually do well against that if instead of taking shields, you take vibra swords. But I'll let you say what you're gonna say.
No, because all I was gonna say was like, I remember when you were saying like you think this is the best list in the game as of right now, right? This is in the middle of our Battle Force tournament that we did here locally, and it's funny because I pulled Daniel game 1, and he was running the EXD, and I was running Shadow Collective with buses with Calm Jammer and Black Suns, and I rammed him down his face. and I ended up winning that game, right?
Well, of course he did.
Yeah, it's so funny you say that because that's why I didn't think it was that great because I was just like, oh, I just destroyed him with buses. I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah, it's like full circle right now to me.
Well, no, but and I think it's worth talking about Ollie's list too, and I have a little bit more info than you guys did a couple weeks ago when you talked about just the winning the final match, and that is that Andy Terrell from That's No Moon was playing EXD. His play partner was Ollie Dyer. And I said, hey, so how often, does he beat your EXD list? And he said that, and I don't think it was Andy that said this. I think it was somebody else that told me this. He's like, oh, like Ollie wins like 85% of the time against EXD. Because his list is good at just ramming through stuff. And I think before we talk about the meta, maybe it's worth talking about the X factor that just can win games, right? And that is that there's always the level of just weird shit that works that I feel like gets lost a lot.
Yeah.
Like in a couple months ago when everyone was talking about Yoda Padme and how great it was and how it was the best thing ever, right? EXE was still in the game then, right? So why didn't people play it then? Well, maybe it hadn't been discovered yet. I mean, I'd only played against on TTS, right? Nobody in the real matches I was playing, right, was playing it. But I knew it was good because I lost it so hard on TTS so many times and so consistently. But I think that for me, at least going into the future, I want to find things that just don't work the way, or that can win in ways that I didn't think about and that the opponent isn't thinking about, right? Just the weird weird shit that somehow works, right? And I think that that's something I don't do a lot, at least. And I think that when we were talking a few weeks ago about you going to Worlds, when you still could, and you're like, well, what should I play? I think our answer should have just been Maul. What are you the best? What is your best unit in the game? And that should have been, and that should have been what you brought. And you know, it bore out because there's a Maul in the top 8. Do you want to talk about that list real quick?
Yeah, we can talk
Like,
about that.
I'll read it. I'll read it out loud, and then you tell me what you think. All right.
Well,
Because
hold on. Let me. There's 2 lists that are in the top 8.
so we'll talk about both.
Yeah. So well, let me touch on the top 8 for a little bit.
Yeah.
So 6 of the CIS, 6 of the top 8 were CIS.
Yeah. And of those, 4 were EXD.
Yeah, and what's shockingly, the 2 CIS that did make it in the top, both had Maul.
Yeah.
One had Bosk, but I like the one that had the Geonosians.
Yeah.
I really want to give it up to Philip because I really want to see how he plays this list because
No, not just Geonosians, sir. What else is in that list?
on Droidicas, of all things.
My man.
So like,
well, no, but let's think about it. Why would you pair Droidicas with Geonosians? And it goes with something you said earlier about modeling. What can you do?
You make them hide behind.
You can make them hide behind Droidicas.
And like this list definitely fighting for the bid. It wants to be blue player. And this is a very objective heavy list. So not only do you have Maul being good at objectives, you got Geonosians good at objectives, and you can hide behind the Droidicas.
It's beautiful. I love this list.
Yeah.
I don't know how well Poggle did in his games. I'm still shocked to see Poggle there, but you know what? If it works, it works.
I mean, he's
and you know what? With Geonosian Core, you don't want to bring a T series. It's useless. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right?
So like that's encouraging. Like even though the XD was predicted to be the best and it did really well, it didn't win, which is like shocking. And
did Blizzard Force win? No,
you're right. It didn't
right?
win.
Like just because it's the best list in the game doesn't mean it's gonna win. But it doesn't mean it's not the best list.
What do you mean? Did Blizzard Force win in this event?
No, when it was the best list, right?
Yeah, not sure.
Like just because doesn't mean, right? Did Rex? Well, I don't think there was a Worlds when Rexstar was meta. That was before my time. So
It was
meta, but there was no Worlds because COVID was happening.
Yeah,
right.
It was CTS. It was taking everything by storm.
Right, but yeah. I mean, just I think for our listeners at home, play what you like. So to the Knicks out there of the world, I want to see Grogu at Worlds next year. I want to see it. I want to see it. Grogu at Worlds.
Then
the hero the world needs.
Yes.
If you bring Grogu to Worlds and you make it onto the stream, you will be the people's champion.
Yes, agreed.
Hands down.
And like that's what I tell people. And I know I've told you guys this when you guys first were going to LVO. It's just like don't go in wanting to win, right? Don't get me wrong. Everyone should want to win, but go in taking what you would want to win with. Like that's why I took Maul my very first LVO because I was like, if I ever win LVO, I want to do with Maul. And you're right, Rob. Now thinking about it in hindsight, like I should have taken Maul because like I want to win Worlds with Maul, right?
Well, and here's the thing too is I don't know the specifics of why you didn't go, but I bet you that the part of you that there would have been a part of you that wanted to go to Worlds even more and maybe could have pushed through all that if you knew you were bringing Maul, right? Like just that little bit of like if you're like I'm going to Worlds to play something I don't really care about, but that's good, you know, right? Like I brought Palpatine to Worlds not because he's the best, but because I'm like I want to play Palpatine.
Yeah.
I want to cast a Now You Will Die on people, right? And that I had a ball doing it. Sometimes I was frustrated when I was doing it because it didn't roll, but you know that's dice. But you know, but it was still like I think in the future, I think next year you need to commit right now. If you go to Worlds, you're playing Maul. I think that needs to be the thing.
Well, I mean, honestly, you know what I really want to take the Worlds? Asajj and Maul. Like that would be dope. That would
do it. I don't know if I can play against you this whole year, but like...
hopefully they buff Dooku and I can bring Dooku.
Oh,
Dooku and Asajj would be so cool.
Oh, Dooku Asajj instead of Dooku Asajj Maul.
I don't know. Like when World comes, like it's either Asajj Maul or Dooku Asajj or maybe all three. Who knows what the meta is going
Oh,
to be?
all three.
He said all
Who
All
three.
knows?
three.
Who knows?
And that's the end of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. He's crazy.
Maybe there's a force user lover in AMG, and they're just like, you know what, the force user need a buff, specifically the CIS force user.
Well, I mean, arguably, Dooku could lose 50 points and be okay, right? Maybe
Yeah.
70 points.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree. I mean, look at the
I don't mean it for the record, but
the trooper incentive system. But yeah, let's go over the. In my opinion, I'm gonna say what I think the three lists that counter EXD, right? As we know from all these lists, the Shadow Collective, two buses, Black Sun's in there, and swoop bikes. Like you're just calm jamming them, getting in there before they can even act, right? Because EXD wants to be far away at first and then get close to the late game, and then hopefully they have the advantage to take the objectives.
right.
The next list I think is I think Ewoks potentially because there's so many bodies. Like, do you think EX can chew through all of them?
Yes,
Yeah.
without any issues.
Why?
They just have a shit ton of dice between B2s and BXs. You can just shred through Ewoks, and I'm pretty sure that's what bore out in these final games.
And the
of
B2s
Worlds.
have the cannon that gets rid of cover. So your low profile is gone.
Yeah, it's just you have of all the that's kind of what makes EXT so good is it has that firepower that it can shoot through those lists that are hard to shoot through, right? Like it can shoot through Ewoks, it could shoot through Wookiees. And those are lists that are trying to jam into your face, but don't necessarily have the ability to because of that.
Even if Ewok somehow did good against EXT, I think the result at the Worlds would still be the same because the buses would not be able to be contested by the Ewoks, and then you would unload all the nasty shotguns and stuff.
Well, the Black Sun only I don't know if the Black Sun list that won Worlds is up against Ewoks. I don't know if you're feeling very good. Black Suns get a good shot and they can kill a squad of Ewoks, but they don't have enough big shots, I think. Right? Like I think EXD have more big shots than that list does. I don't know though. I mean, you're probably fine. I mean, you have Black Suns that literally one shot Ewoks, so maybe you're
Oh
fine.
yeah. Well, and then like the other thing I think that counters EXD is dodge spam, right? Because
to an extent, but remember, everyone that was playing EXD at some point, I imagine, had to fight through one of the clone lists, right? Like when I talked to the two people that I played that were playing these clone dodge heavy lists, including Nathan Gribble, what did they lose to? Well, they lost to EXD.
Yeah,
Right.
even Kyle on Notorious Scoundrels opening in their world segment, he was like, apparently dodge spam is not good anymore.
Well, it is. The thing is, though, it is. It's still like I think when we focus on top, like let's expand a second here. Instead of talking about top 8, let's talk about top 32. Because that's where you start seeing some more list diversity, right? And this is where you see this interesting dichotomy, right? Because at the highest levels, what do you get when you get to top 32? Well, you start seeing a lot of Empire, right? In the top 32. They're at the bottom of the top 32, right? Like 32, 29, 27, 26, 25, 23, right? You have a lot of Empire lists, and they're all running the gamut. In fact, the Empire list that did the best was Minor Tom's list, which had Vader, Dark Trooper, Lats. So,
But is the amount of Empire lists that made it into top 32, is that not a what's what I'm looking for? Is that not an account that, there's still a shitload of people bringing Empire? Like that can factor into why that so many made it.
Right. So I guess my point of what I was trying to say is that once you get to those top 32 games, you know what they're fighting against, right? Like when there's 277 people, it's like you don't know what you're going to come up against, right? When you get to that top 32, that's where you go, okay, I am eventually as an Empire player going to play against EXD or clones. And when you hit that and you hit the really good players of those lists, they crumbled, right? Like they couldn't. Like to me, there was a lot of double Dark Troopers, and once it kind of bore out what people were saying, where it's like once you find a list that can out objective you or just can outshoot you, it's over. I think the highest ranking, I don't know how he bore out on the last day, but the Dark Trooper list that was most interesting to me was Krennic Boss, just because he won, I think, most of his games off of round 6 suppression shenanigans. And it's just watching that was just like wild, right? Like he's just trying to shoot all the enemies just to get suppression on them, and it's working. And the amount of games I watched over the tournament, because my games are fast. I never had any time issues because I was playing double Dark Troopers, so I didn't have a lot of activations. There was stuff dying, right? But for those that did, like every time I walked through a game, it was always like suppression. Let's get suppression out to stop them from going on, whatever, right? Break through or intercept. So when you get to these high level games, to sort of round up, because I just went on a weird tangent, EXD wins until it doesn't, right? That's my point. Because I think Ollie had to beat like 3 EXD lists, including Luke Cook. So
Yeah, well, congrats, Ollie. Like that's impressive, and I bet it felt good. I bet when he was facing Luke, it felt good. He's just like, I've been doing this matchup from practicing. I know what I need to do. I know what need to happen, and it happened. It's just like that's what you practice for, right?
yeah.
Do you think Luke Cook wins if he just would have stayed the path and brought what he's won the last two with, which is Boba?
Double bounty.
No. He would have had one game where dice failed him and he would have lost. The thing is that all these lists that are winning are too efficient. Even EXD is just hyper efficient. They have 2 shields, right? And they can recover those on their turn, right? Like, what is
and you also have Kalani's recover card, right?
Yeah, and what are you going to do with what are you going to fit in a double bounty list other than the bounty hunters? A bunch of shit that sucks, right? The storms get eaten alive by BXs. You have scout teams. You had scout teams, right? Like you have to have like a godly round 6. Holy shit, he just killed a T series out of nowhere. Game over, wins 3-2 kind of thing, right? Like, and you're relying on that in every game. That's the problem with Empire right now. It doesn't have anything that is consistent. So,
all right. Well,
I don't know.
I'm bringing the XD for the league. So you hear it here first.
No, you're bringing Maul. Come on, don't bring EXT. I might bring Republic just so I can practice and play Republic for fun. But
Don't do that because I'm bringing Republic for fun.
Well, you only play Republic. Bring Rebels for fun.
I should.
The problem,
I'm having fun with Shadow Collective, so I might.
Do you know what the problem is? I'm having is I was watching all those Republic players play. It just doesn't look fun to me. Like I bought all this Republic stuff, and then I was looking into playing these lists, and I'm like, they're even more gunline than Empire, and it's like there's less decisions. I don't know. Maybe I just need to. I'm gonna play it and then decide.
No,
so
I'm telling you, it's boring.
That's the thing is like as you get better at the game, it gets boring because it's like clockwork. You know what you need to do. There's no fun interactions because you're just like, I'm just gonna capitalize on this mistake.
Yeah.
But that's why I like to play. That's why I don't bring Maul to every tournament. That's why I don't bring Maul to everything, is because it's just like I want to have fun too. You know,
yeah.
I love Maul. I know how to play Maul. I play him really good, but it's just like, but it gets mundane after a while. You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's very interesting. Top 8. That's awesome. I love to see CAS back on the top. But I am with Jose on this, and maybe we can go on a little tangent on this too. Is ban battle forces. Ban battle forces. Because that's the only reason ever since Battle Forces has been announced, Battle Forces has been showing up at the top of the list out of everything. And I get it. It's a new way to play the game. It makes it fun. But I miss the old days where you had to bring your army and you had to make a list that made it work, right? In this situation, it's just like, oh, this new Battle Force gives me these new rules. Cool, I'm gonna play this. I will say that I only think the Battle Forces that should be legal are the ones that are only can be brought as Battle Force. An example is Ewoks are mainly Battle Force. Shadow Collective is just a Battle Force. What else is there? Wookiees. Yeah, Wookiees. Thank you. Yeah, Wookiees is a Battle Force.
But those are the ones that are doing super well. Like, it just seems like you want to get rid of Blizzard and EXD, which.
Well, what I'm saying is like, think of it like Battlefront 2, right? Like you have your core, your faction of like, I'm CIS, I'm the Empire, I'm GAR. But like some people are I just want to run an army of Wookiees. So it's just like, that's what the Battle Force is for. Like when Gungans come out, like you don't want to see Gungans and GAR and just be like, this is my Gar Gungan army. No, you want to be like, this is my Battle Force Gungan army. That's what I think a Battle Force should be, not just a new way the faction can play a list, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll let Jose speak first.
That grin though, he is like, yeah, it's my time.
I don't know, man. When we're talking about like, I don't know. At first, I loved the idea of battle forces. I thought it was amazing. New flavor. I'm all about new flavor in the game. My hang up with battle forces is the same fucking thing. Sorry, same thing that it was when as now. It's like when battle forces were announced, they were by definition from AMG themselves not to be competitive, just flavor only. And that I was okay with. When I saw the first 501st, I'm like, this is going to be terrible, but fun, great, cool. The Battle Force, Invasion Force, thematic, great, fun, cool. Blizzard Force, great, fun, cool. The problem is when you put things like this that break the normal rules in the hands of competitive masterminds, then it becomes unbearable to the busted point. And that's what makes it not fun is because, your faction identity is now turned from traditional faction building to what battle force is winning this event this year. And the only battle force I give a pass to is Shadow Collective because they shouldn't even be a battle force. They should literally just be a faction.
Like, I think that's the most important take to say right there, Jose, is like these Battle Force break some kind of rule that makes them OP. Like Blizzard Force, I don't think Blizzard Force wouldn't be great if you couldn't take 4 speeder bikes, right? I think it would have been just fine if you could just take 3, you know?
Well, I would have just swapped that with Tempest Force, right? 3 ATSTs in Blizzard, 4 speeders
yeah.
what's it called? But
Invasion Force.
and that's neither here nor there.
But like I mean, look at EXD. What are they breaking? They're breaking that you roll more dice at range 5. You get to do a speed 3. What else can they do? They can also.
Well, EXD also coincides with BX buffs, right? Like it came at the same time their price got lowered and the shield price got like tanked quite a bit. And I think that's kind of the big thing too, is that like maybe BXs are just good now. Maybe
But
not
see,
great, but
that's where it gets convoluted a little bit for me, is that they're good now because you're right, the points dropped and they have these new mechanics
right.
to use a surge. But are they good outside of that? So like I don't know how
We don't know.
Right. I don't know how AMG does the whole buffing and nerfing process, but like if they're judging BXs off of this, I think that's the wrong way to do it, right?
So I have a more nuanced take, I think, and that is that I don't mind battle forces. I actually like them. I just think that core faction identity needs to be maybe a battle force in and of itself, right? Like we have this whole thing about faction identity that people talk about. I think you can actually just hone in on that some more and give the general factions a rule or two, right? That gives them an advantage, right? Like, and they already kind of have this, right? Like clones already have token sharing, B1s already have, or CAS already has, like B1 chaining, and these are what you think of when you think of these factions. But maybe they need more, right? Either that or just add more battle forces so that you have more ability to play some of these other bad units, right? Like maybe Dooku needs a battle force that makes him better, right? Or he's already in a battle force, so maybe just make Separatist Invasion Force good to bring Dooku in, right? Like I don't know. I think just harping on battle forces, there's always gonna be something that's best, right? And to be frank, Republic, if there's no battle forces, Republic is just unbearably good. So
no, because
yes,
no,
no non-battle force list is beating Republic.
Republic's main kryptonite is Pierce Tech, but you don't see Pierce Tech because these battle forces are blowing out rebels
because of their Pierce Tech, right? Like BXs are piercing, right? Like
you don't care to pierce white saves. What's more value, piercing a white save or piercing a red save? You're gonna
No, well,
more
yeah,
value that way.
but they just have a shit ton of dice. Like, yeah, I get it, but like,
Well, no, my thing is the natural predator for everything has to have a natural predator, in my opinion. Um, and when battle forces are so good, and you eliminate one natural predator, that's what makes the outlier the not the outlier, but that's what makes the other thing creep up so much.
what I guess my point is, if there are no battle forces, rebels aren't beating Gar, right? They normal rebels have some play, but like on a consistent high level basis, they're not beating Gar. Yeah, they have Pierce, and if they get Pierce through, that's great. But have you seen all the dodges that clone's gonna have on the table? Like, you're not getting through all that with snipers, right? Even full, and if you bring a full commando in a range of a clone line, you kill 1 to 2 clones. Good for you. Fire support. That commando squad is dead, right? Like, and you know this. You play clones. You've done this before. Like,
Yeah, and the one thing that wrecked me at LVO was Rebels. That
really,
was the only yes, that was the only thing I got shredded on because I didn't have it didn't matter how many dodges I had when I had Cassian and Jin bouncing in and out. It didn't matter. Like that list would give me my first traditional ass whooping. It wasn't I lost on time. It was I almost got tabled.
well, I mean, there is a way you could have had more dodges on the table, which would have helped as well. But we don't like to
No,
talk about that. Yes.
no. The
But
dodges
also, that's actually an interesting point. Is that I don't think we saw a lot of Cassian at all at Worlds.
because they're not rebels aren't gonna do anything without. That's
But
my whole
but
thing.
here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Cassian is their strongest unit.
Yes. And Cassian, and let's add Iden in this, right? They don't do anything to any of these good lists right now. Right? They don't do anything against EXD because they have shields. They don't do anything against Republic because they have a fuck ton of defensive tech, sorry, a lot of defensive tech. And so, yeah, if you have a Cassian, like Cassian, I guess can shoot through some Republic, but I imagine you didn't die because of a Cassian. It was
No,
just
but
other stuff.
here's one thing I'd like to know, and JR actually can speak on this. Is JR, when you went to LVO, who was your opponent?
Who was my opponent for like the finals?
Yeah,
It
It was
was
Nathan.
no, no. The first LVO JR went to and won.
Oh,
I was
Who was
playing.
your opponent?
I was playing against Luke and Chewie,
And the pilot was Bushman.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was at a time when Gar had dodge span. They had dodges, and Bushman made it to the finals of LVO with Chewie. No, it wasn't Luke. It was Luke, Chewie,
Han Solo,
Han Solo,
snipers.
snipers, and he took vets and Mark twos. So don't tell me that they don't
he
have
had Luke, right? We're talking about a meta where Force users are not doing hot, right?
Luke
Like
didn't do
Luke
nothing in
is
that game.
okay, but I'm sure he did something in all the other games, right?
I mean,
Like
and
Operative
that,
Luke is amazing, right?
if we're talking about that meta, like that meta was very much CIS because CIS, the spiders had just came out and they were pretty much dominating.
Well, no.
And Magnus just came out as well.
My point is, in that meta, Rebels had a strong showing, and even in the top two got a spot. Rebels, I think, were I think three or four lists that were in top 8. And that's what I'm saying is like with Gar as strong as they are, Padme was still a thing back then. Not Yoda, Padme was a thing back then. Token shenanigans were still a thing back then. And we had a rebel list, which is the Gar natural predator that had to go through a field of Gar because Gar was being really played at that point to this thing. And that's what I'm saying. Like you eliminate, a natural predator, you're gonna have something creep up that wasn't in check before. The problem is well, two things. Number one, my thing has always been this, and JR's gonna laugh because it's taking shots at AMG, which JR loves, is that we watched when they released Shadow Collective. What did we do? We watched AMG do a live stream game, and they played the game so wrong to the point that the chat was blowing up, correcting them to where they were getting flamed for it. So when you're creating a game, and this is when they took over, so chances are these guys, this was their first Legion game. But my point is that having AMG in place to test stuff is not good because they're not of the mindset of a competitive player and how these things pan out. They weren't even playing the game right. So if they really Shadow Collective and did a live stream game and didn't play a damn thing right, how are we supposed to believe that they know where the strengths were going to lie in that list? Now they're just throwing a bunch of these battle forces. I honestly think, and no competitive player is going to have time for this unless they willingly do it. But I've always been, and I said that Jared's heard me say it before. AMG should bring in top players like Luke, like Timbo, like Bushman, like JR, and have them break these things, break them, and then you'll see what really happens. Because I guarantee you, if Kyle Dornbos was testing for AMG and was like, "Yo, this is dumb. Here's why. Look at what I can do," we wouldn't have had the blizzard that reigned over for majority of the time they came out. You need testers who are going to break shit that are going to test these things, because these things were not broken on release. They were said that, by AMG, these are not competitive lists. They will not be competitive, and they are dominating competitive games. So how does that make sense? How is something that was said by the creator to not be competitive in any shape or form is what's now dominating these metas?
You guys put a lot of like, just because somebody doesn't expect something to be competitive doesn't mean it won't be, right? Like, if you guys think the solution to the game is just get rid of all battle forces, that's fine. But then all you're gonna end up with is a game with less complexity and less options. And to me, I'd rather have a game with more options. There's always gonna be something that's best. And the more options, the better. Because that's more ability to play more things. That's more ability to play more things so that more people can have fun. I don't see why, like, yeah, that maybe they weren't meant to be competitive, but they are. And so we have to live in a world where they are, but just keep adding battle forces then.
So then we should just get rid of the factions themselves and just say, hey, this is now a battle force game.
Sure. Why not? What's the problem with that?
You're breaking the natural set rules that made this game what it is today.
You'd still have the factions, right?
You have battle forces.
Okay. Right? Like, I don't know.
So like I said, like, my take on it is just that I think battle forces should only be for certain units that you could spend upon, like Ewoks, Wookiees, you know. Like, I agree with both of you guys in the sense, like, Rob, you're right. This is how it is. This is what it is. And you're right. More options, more better. I agree with that, because Shadow Collective can only be a battle force because the way they built the mercenary mechanics, that's ideally how it should be, right? Is it done well? Some people would say yes, some people would say no, right? But at the same time, like, I just think that I miss just faction building days. So just like, this is my faction, this is what I'm gonna build. I don't like.
I mean, it was simpler.
It
right?
It was simpler.
And that's you know, simplicity can be good. I just think that when you look at other war games compared to Legion, there is a lot more options in what you can do. Like, significantly. Like, and I'm not saying we want to be Warhammer where you need a 50-page book to play the faction you want to play as. Let's not do that.
Warhammer has also been around for 100 years.
But what you guys are saying is, right, but what you guys are saying is you'd like to just stay in this early phase where it's just these 5 factions, we'll say 5 factions, right? And you have to work within these set normal rules for everyone. And that's fine, but I just think I'd rather live in a world with more options, more complexity.
So don't give me don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Is like, that's the route every game is gonna go. It's inevitable for it to get more complex, right? Because, you know, you can only handle so much rock, paper, scissors before you add in the bomb, right? It's just the way the game goes, and you got to roll with it. You got to change with it, or you're just going to fall off a bit. And that's what I think is happening in our local scene in general. Our local scene is kind of like the players that we used to see all the time have not been showing up a lot because they just
in the game that they're having fun with.
They're having a different game, sure, but that's because that's new. Legion's not new anymore, and it's changing. It's changing the way how it used to be. And that's I think frustrating for humanity in general. When you're used to the way things are and it changes, it gets frustrating, very frustrating, and you just sometimes give up on that.
Yeah.
And that's I think is important. If the ones that stick around are the hardcore ones that are just like, I will learn the new stuff to play the game. So I'm not saying Battle Force is a bad idea. I'm just saying like, I wish in my world of the
So
changes.
I think actually we have, I don't know how long we've been on this podcast, but I think there's one more thing I want to talk about that's super big and has to do with everything we're talking about. And that is frequency of balance patches. One of the things that AMG mentioned in their panel, and I know we're going to talk about the panel a bit today, but I don't know if we're going to have time for that. But the biggest thing I think that they mentioned in their panel had nothing to do with releases. It was a statement they made where they said that they want to look at balance in 18 to 24 month intervals. Yes. Yeah. So those that are listening and not watching, JR's eyes just went, what? He's like, his eyebrows went super high and 18 to 24. So like I'm over here saying I want a bunch of balance patches. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, god damn, we're not going to see anything this year. Like, so think about it. Our last balance patch was about what, a month after Worlds last year?
Yeah.
We may get one in about a month. But from the sounds of it, they just wanted to just keep throwing units and seeing what happens. And in 6 months after that, maybe we'll get a balance patch. Like
JR,
next,
they don't care about this game.
well, I don't know if it's not. I don't know if it's a not caring thing, but it's an interesting way to think about it. And so I just want to talk about this year in the meta. When I started playing last year, right after Worlds, the philosophy was that Empire was amazing. Would you guys disagree that last year around April, after the balance patch, we were like, all right, Empire is still great.
Empire was solid. Blizzard was what was amazing.
After the balance patch, right?
Yeah.
After.
Yeah.
When they swapped it to Commander Vader, people, I don't think people were still saying it was amazing. I think people were kind of like, I don't know about this anymore. Right?
No,
Like,
there was
Op
still
Vader
people
made
playing.
Blizzard.
I was always and Jared would back me on this because we had this talk when we were podcasting with Daniel. I've always been of the mindset that 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 Commander Vader I thought was a better option than Op Vader.
Okay. But most of the people that were playing Blizzard were playing with Op Vader. And it made it more expensive for Vader, because now you had to bring Commander. Whether you thought it was better or not, the prevalence of Blizzard Force is significantly lower this year in the meta than last year. Agree or disagree?
That's good.
Say that again. Sorry, my dog.
There's way less Blizzard Force now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So whether you think Commander Vader or Op Vader is better or not, the community as a whole has said we don't want to play the Commander Vader version. Right? We don't think it's as good. Whether that's true or not is another statement, right? Empire had a bunch of stuff that rose in points, like the Officer, Dark Troopers, notably, and Boba Fett. So the stuff that won basically all got bumped. But you know, we've gone through this cycle now of a year where it was kind of like, well, Empire is still good, and then it was like Rebels suck, Gara's whatever, right? But it was like Empire, and then we had some releases that didn't really change things. EXD came out about 3 or 4 months ago. It was Gara's the best, Gar, right? And now here we are, and there's no Gar in the top 8, and it's all experimental droids. And then 2 generic CIS lists with, right? Like if you'd said 4 months ago that CIS would be the 6 out of the top 8 at Worlds, everyone would have said, no, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's like
traditional CIS, yeah, you're crazy. If you would have predicted EXD taking a lot
you
of
also would have been
that,
crazy. But
no.
what I'm saying is we have this weird like cycle that we're going through of this meta that maybe it's not as stagnant as I thought it was. So I don't know.
Yeah, so I would have to agree with Rob on this one. It's just like it makes me like cringe.
I don't like this, but
what it makes me cringe that like it's gonna take 2 years to update. But also I'm not opposed to just like, hey, let's throw in a unit and see what happens to the meta. Like it's not ideal either. I mean, your faction can't always be on the top. That's just how the cookie crumbles, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like there's no way you're gonna win everyone's approval. And if you're gonna take 2 years to do a balance patch, then
Oh,
hopefully that balance patch is gonna be really good, right? Like they just change a lot of things and just like, wow, okay. I mean, let's play devil's advocate here. I say a lot of things about AMG, but let's play devil's advocate. Let's assume that they have play testers that they're trying to shake up the game and use different scenarios, perhaps, and just see what they can do. Because unfortunately, this isn't their baby, so they got to figure out the baby, right? But
Redheaded child.
yeah, so it's just like, okay, well, they're pumping out units still,
yeah, I was gonna
There's
say after one of the weirdest moments at Worlds is I was sitting in their panel, and the guy sitting next to me, I was in like the second row, and the guy sitting next to me at one point after Shatterpoint ended, no, after Legion ended, I think a bunch of people started leaving because the next round of stuff was up soon, and so they like said, "Oh, we're gonna pause for the Legion people to leave." And the guy sitting next to me got up and he said, "Hey, is X-Wing gonna have anything?" And they're just like, "No, this is for the other 3 games." He's like, "Well, is X-Wing dead?" Like he literally is sitting there asking to AMG, "Is X-Wing dead?" And I'm like, and after sitting through that, I'm like, okay, well, we're not dead, so I'm not. We got a lot of shit coming out. I'm not
X-Wing
gonna
has
complain.
been saying they've been dying for the last like 3-4 years.
Yeah,
It's
but
not-
they just got something pulled recently, and based off Armada, they're probably dead.
Damn.
So, and based off AMG there at that event, I wouldn't be surprised if X-Wing is dead. At least no more releases.
So hold on.
So we're doing not terribly right now.
I need to talk to Nick about this now. So,
What?
well, Armada is dead.
Yes.
Now X-Wing is now dead.
Yeah.
Who's next in line?
Not us, because we're still getting a bunch of sales. So just keep buying Legion products or the game might die, basically. Not a great place to be, yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I digress. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully they still keep up with the game, and hopefully they still produce units and whatnot. Um,
I just think we've got a big rules change coming out, and about based off that, I'm assuming that there will not maybe a 2.0 to get into that. I think there's something big coming.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think it's going to be until next year.
the little blue text. Battle forces are banned from competitive.
All right, guys. Well, with that, if we're gonna wrap it up.
Maybe that should be the league rules. No battle forces, including Shadow Collective, which is a battle force, mind you.
Sure, it is. You can't argue that. But all right, let's wrap this up, guys.
All right.
Yeah, good conversation. Thank you guys for joining me.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm still hopeful. AMG. I mean, like I said, they're coming out with new units. The Bad Batch is coming. Range Troopers, Commandos, and that's got to be exciting for those people. Like, I'm sure Rob, you're excited for Range Troopers.
I'm not only going to buy Range Troopers, but I'm also going to go buy Krennic. So,
Oh, wow.
I want to do. I want to
You should paint him
do.
to look like Edward.
well. So I wanted. My list that I want to try is 3 Range Troopers. So a lot of money. Anyways, 3 Range Troopers, Krennic, and then Bosk, and then 2 Death Troopers, and just sit at range for suppression.
You know what I want to do too when you bring that list? And line of sight blockers everywhere. Everybody guide.
Well, all you have to do is bring Maul and I'm dead, right? Like that,
Yeah,
and that's my problem with these Empire gunlines I play. Is it's like anytime a Force user shows up, it's like, and I'm dead.
Yeah. So.
And you're gone.
All right,
So-
guys. Before I wrap this up, you guys want to add anything? Anybody? Jose, Rob?
Sign up for the league.
Yes, I agree. Sign up
If
for
you
the
just
league.
want to play for fun and memes, sign up for the league.
No,
If
you
you
want
wanna-
to play for a paint job.
If you want to pay for a paint job, sign up for the league.
Despite what you might hear from my mouth, Legion's not there. So let's get in.
If you want to beat JR, sign up for the league, because I'm gonna make his list for him for this league, and it is gonna be including Grogu.
All right,
No,
guys.
I'm kidding.
Well,
I wouldn't do do that.
Well, thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right. See ya.